Hello, today I'm joined by Fixflo's Milan Sud. He's the head of the marketplace there. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Sun is shining today in London, and another day of helping property managers become more efficient and helping businesses grow. So, yeah, all is well.
That sounds good. It sounds like a good way to spend your days, put it that way. Milan, forgive me, but people will be very familiar with Fixflo because you are one of the sort of main names that people have turned to over the years to manage how repairs. You changed the game in terms of how repairs are reported for estate agents and property managers. But there have been changes, and you are very much evolving. So explain to us where Fixflow is today, and perhaps what direction it could be changing to.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, the majority of the industry will be familiar with Fixflo. We are the UK's leading repair reporting software. Have been around for a decade now, which is crazy because I've known Raj for most of that time, and yeah, it's fantastic to have seen the growth. And I joined the business around 8 months ago, with the goal of taking the business into new spaces that we haven't touched on before. So repair reporting is the heart of what we do. So tenants are able to report repairs through our software, and property managers can pick those up in a seamless way and take the actions that are required. We are moving from being a pure SaaS company now to providing contractors for our clients. So previously, tenant reports an issue through Fixflo. That's fantastic. It cuts out the emails, the phone calls, the back and forth chasing, and really saves a lot of time for property managers. But the natural extension of our product was to move into providing contractors. So, now a tenant reports an issue, it comes through to Fixflo, and now our clients have access to a network of trusted, vetted, communicative contractors who will use the Fixflo platform to update and provide all of the information required. So, yeah, it's an evolution for our business, but one we're really excited about.
And it is that sort of natural, almost missing step, isn't it? Because you've got something that allows reporting of repairs, and in theory allows you to dish those repairs out in quite a knowledgeable manner. So you can actually sort of provide that to whoever's doing the repair. They know what they're going to see. That's always been the beauty of Fixflow. It allows you to diagnose what needs to be done much more easily, and you can send the most suitable candidate for that particular fix. So in providing those contractors that are now vetted, um, is it across all sort of areas of property maintenance? Are there certain things that you guys don't touch, or have you got quite a decent stable of contractors across all manner of property management?
Yeah, it's a great question. So before we kind of dived off the high board, both feet first, we spent a lot of time speaking to our clients to understand where are the gaps from a contractor perspective, where do they have the kind of most need. So we started with out of hours. Out of hours, is a really difficult thing to deal with. If your office is closed and your property managers aren't sat there at their PC being able to pick up these issues via Fixflo, tenants are often left a little bit high and dry, or I guess high and soaking wet if it's a bad leak or whatever.
Yeah.
But I've been quite surprised coming into the industry that even for some very large organizations, an out of hours solution wasn't necessarily something that was there. So, all sorts of scenarios, either tenants didn't have anything at all. Some had a poor property manager who was going home and sleeping on a mobile phone, which I'm sure many people who will be watching this will be able to resonate with.
Been there, done that, had many Christmases ruined by it. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's a little bit tongue in cheek, but actually, these are people's lives that are, as a property manager, you've got a weekend with the children, or it's a bank holiday, and you want to spend time with your friends and family, and you're always on edge because you're having to pick up a phone at any time of day or night, really, which can be quite troublesome. And then the other solution in there really was kind of a more basic call answering service where people will pick up a phone on behalf of your agency, and they may have a list of preferred contractors, and those contractors sometimes will go out to a property, and sometimes they're down the pub and decide that they're not gonna go out. So it can be a little bit tough. So we started with out of hours, and that's been really, really successful. We kind of call it our gateway product into the contractor marketplace. We've got about 150 agents now signed up, representing around 160,000 properties. And basically, it provides that peace of mind that a tenant reports an issue via Fixflo. We use our smart technology, which is called our Copilot technology. And as you said earlier, that routes the issue through to the right trade type. So, we have 750 fault types down in Fixflo, but there are only some that could be considered an out-of-hours emergency. For example, a leak, a tenant without heating and hot water in the middle of the winter, et cetera, et cetera. And our system routes those to the right contractors and gets them out there. And then they're on site within 4 hours, which is fantastic peace of mind for tenant, landlord, and managing agent, really. And the trade types that we're covering there really are the main ones that could feasibly be a tenant emergency. So you've got plumbing, electrical, gas safe engineers, roofing, all of the things generally, locks and glazing, all the things where it could feasibly be an issue, an emergency issue for the tenant. So we've got full nationwide coverage there, from the depths of Cornwall to the Highlands of Scotland, and we cover clients in every one of those areas across the UK. So for our out of hours, we are fully ramped up, and that's a product that's doing really, really well. And then the second product that we've launched is our planned preventative maintenance. So one of the things that I've been a little bit surprised by coming into the industry is, planned preventative maintenance by nature is something that should be predictable, months in advance when a CP12 is due or when an EICR is due, but it gets round to a few weeks before that service event, and a property manager is still raising a works order. They're still chasing a contractor. They're still chasing a tenant for access. Once the job is done, they're getting that certificate back manually from a contractor. They're getting that invoice back manually from a contractor. And when you add up, those 5 to 10 minute activities, really anywhere between 25 to 40 minutes is spent on every planned maintenance issue. And we at Fixflo recognize that we could help drive automation into businesses, specifically around planned maintenance, because it's predictable. We know when it's happening. We've got the data. So we've now launched our planned maintenance service. We've started with gas. So we're out there doing CP12s and boiler services on behalf of a number of our clients. Yeah. We're moving into EICRs. We're looking at midterm inspections and things like that. And, we're being a little bit led by our clients where the demand is really. But ultimately, reimagine that journey from a property manager's perspective. We get that data within Fixflo, and then everything moves through seamlessly. So our contractors are able to contact the tenant, arrange access, upload the certificate in Fixflo, invoice in Fixflo. And then your property managers only have to get involved with planned maintenance by the exception rather than the rule.
Yeah.
They only get involved in very exceptional circumstances. For example, if a tenant is not playing ball and a contractor can't get access. But again, all that communication is then streamlined through the Fixflo platform. So out of hours and planned maintenance is where we've started, and we're continuing to grow that. But we are very quickly moving into in-hours reactive as well. So providing access to tradespeople in hours. So, I've got a tenant with a leak at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Great. Here's a contractor through the Fixflo platform you can access. So the goal is absolutely to be able to provide full coverage for our clients if and when they're ready to utilize that.
So within the sort of property space and prop tech space, sometimes we're guilty of being a little bit myopic, and we're doing a bit of navel gazing, and we never seem to sort of look above and what's going on out there in different sectors, and perhaps maybe where we might draw inspiration or see parallels in other sectors. You actually have personal experience innovating in various different sectors. I know banking, insurance, fitness, you name it. I think you've got great experience there. Are there certain parallels that you see out there that we're able to sort of draw inspiration from here within a prop tech sense?
Yeah, I think there certainly are. You mentioned banking and insurance there. Now, they're two of the most highly regulated industries in the UK. And I was at the forefront with Barclays and then with AXA of trying to drive innovative solutions into those industries. Now, with the amount of regulation and red tape and very traditional ways of doing things, you would think that they would be some of the harder industries to innovate in. And, in my time at Barclays, for example, we saw the rise of the likes of Monzo, Starling, Revolut, those digital banks that really came in. Yeah, they really came in and changed the game. And my job at Barclays was to go, well, as an incumbent bank, a very large institution, fantastic reputation, how do we also innovate? how do we turn this super tanker and, you know, get it to act a little bit more like a speedboat? And, you know, I look at something like Monzo, for example, and they really changed the game with their digital banking solutions. So, you know, using automation technology, the experience that you get from your Monzo app now, it can remind you if you're spending too much money. It can reward you by putting money into your spending account if you go to the gym 3 times. You know, really crazy things. You know, your banking app can remind you to drink water after you've bought a coffee, for example.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's an example how you've taken banking was a necessity product. People didn't enjoy engaging with it. And all of a sudden, through automation technology and through very data-driven solutions, they were able to integrate themselves into people's lives more seamlessly. And now people will interact with their digital banking application on a much more regular basis because it's actually providing value to them. And that controlled automation really is a way of increasing control rather than reducing levels of control. I think with the topic of automation, sometimes that it can be a little bit divisive in that sometimes people see it as, I'm going to automate, and this is going to, you know, I'm going to lose control. But actually, if you put the right automation in, it helps you gain control. It helps you become more efficient. And that's something that we're seeing at Fixflo. You know, we use the if this, then that technology within our platform. So if X happens, take Y action. So as that relates to maintenance, the out of hours example is, you know, our system will look up, is it out of hours? So yes, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. And is it a fault type that could feasibly be an emergency? Yes, it's a leak. And then the platform will route that through to the right place, as opposed to a property manager having to take the issue, look at it, route it somewhere. All of that stuff takes time. So because you've set up the rules with controlled automation, it allows you to gain more control rather than lose control. And in my view, if an industry like banking, which is so heavily regulated, can do something like that, then we can absolutely do that here in PropTech.
And in effect, automation shouldn't be a dirty word. It should be what we're all striving for, but it shouldn't eliminate the person-to-person element that is obviously very prevalent in our industry. But it should actually free you up to, rather than being an order taker, somebody who's simply raising works orders and taking messages off people, you're able to actually go and interact with tenants, with clients, and more pound productive behavior as opposed to just simple routine maintenance tasks, which let's face it, we were probably behind the curve in automating.
Yeah, you know, maintenance, it is a drain on most organizations. You know, since I started in this industry, I speak to very large organizations where you're speaking to operations directors who are looking to, you know, drive more efficiency into their business and, you know, utilize their staff for revenue driving activities or better customer service. And then I speak to organizations, you know, a couple of 100 units, you've got a very driven business owner who is trying to grow their business, but they're getting bogged down by dealing with maintenance issues on a daily basis. It's like, I haven't got the time to go and, you know, speak to new landlords or go to industry events because actually, you know, there's a leak at this property or this property's boiler's broken down. It's a real drag on organizations. And I think what we're really trying to do is remove that drag from organizations so they can focus on growing their business and they can focus on becoming more efficient.
It's interesting you say that because I've got a million WhatsApp groups at any one time. But one of them, I've got somebody who's a client of yours, and an agent in there that isn't a client of yours, and the proud client of yours is quite a fan. Put a message on saying, I've just blocked out sort of 2 hours of my diary, and I've just sat and had lunch with 2 landlords on the trot, sort of back to back. And just to catch up with them, we've reviewed their portfolio, anything they're buying, anything that they're selling. And it actually turns out that they've got another couple of properties that we're now going to be taking on managed. And the other agent responded, I don't know where you find the time to have lunch. And I wish I could have relationship meetings with my clients. How do you do it? Now, the answer isn't necessarily, well, it's Fixflo every time that frees up that time, but it is products like Fixflo and solutions like that automate some of the other stuff that they're getting bogged down with, rather than sitting down and having those productive and really sort of meaningful conversations with clients. I think that really is the key to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I've spoken to business owners who, you know, have been a little bit emotional because they say, well, the majority of my time is spent interacting with people who are dissatisfied because, you know, they've got a leak or their heating's not working, they've got a child at home, and it can be a bit of a thankless task. And actually, if you're able to, you know, automate some of that through software, you can then provide a much more empathetic service, because actually a lot of that manual workload is taken out. So actually, when you do pick up the phone and have a conversation with the tenant, it can be a much more human-centered conversation. You're asking them how they are. Is there anything else you can do? Because actually, you've got the time and you've got the headspace to do that, rather than, oh, I'm panicking. How am I going to find a contractor? It's Sunday. There's no one around. You can reframe that conversation and provide a better service for your tenant, which is ultimately better for the landlord.
And it's better for relationships long term. You will end your tenancy on a much better note. And let's not forget, tenants do not stay tenants forever. They will one day be a buyer, they'll one day be a seller. They may even be a landlord themselves. And if you want to have that kind of relationship with them in the future, they need to see you as somebody that's willing to help, rather than just somebody who's there to just get through their boiler repair as quickly as possible with as least friction as possible. So I think you're really sort of helping people to do that. Milan, just remind us in terms of the target audience for this. Is it any size of agency that would benefit from this, or is this really sort of only suited for certain types of agents?
No, absolutely. It's any size of agency. So, you know, we've got clients with 50 units. We've got a client with 15,000 units who are using our out of hours solution, and we've got clients with 100 units and clients with thousands of units using our planned preventative maintenance solution. So, you know, efficiency in a business happens at very different scales. But actually, if you're a 2-person team, you know, and you've got 200 properties, and we can make you 10% more efficient, or whether you're a 20-person team and we can make your business 10% more efficient, everybody can benefit from what it is that we're bringing to market. So regardless of size, regardless of scale, and regardless of location, you know, this is a new product and a new solution that can really work for agents.
Fantastic. Well, it's great to see what's going on over there at Fixflo and the new innovations that you've got, and you know, your continued strive to sort of help agents free up time and make this whole thing frictionless and just work a lot better for all parties involved. So thank you very much.
No worries, David. Really appreciate the time. Thank you.